Good afternoon, everyone. It's my first time in Indonesia, and I'm really pleased to be here. I have a kind of strange title for today's presentation, and it's about, if I can make the slides work, it's about surviving Gen AI. Now, surviving may not sound like a very exciting goal. Of course, we all want to survive. But I'll try to explain as I'm going that Gen AI, I think, really represents both a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous threat for all of us. I think the success of our organizations will be driven in large part by how well we adopt this technology. Now, I've been in the IT world for a long time, actually off the left side of this picture. I began working on IBM mainframes when I came out of university a long time ago. And I've seen lots of generational transitions. Transition from the mainframe to client server. Transition to the web and the world of apps. Transition to the cloud and the as-a-service kind of models of doing business. And I think we're now at the beginning of the next big transition. And each of these transitions represents an opportunity, certainly for software companies. Each of these transitions represents a very difficult set of decisions. Many successful software companies don't survive these transitions. They don't get to move on. And I think one of the reasons that InterSystems is successful after 46 years is we've helped our customers navigate these transitions from one generation to the next. I believe this transition with Gen AI is going to be both the most powerful and the most difficult for all of us to make. So what I'd like to do over the next few minutes is talk a little bit about what we've learned, but also what our customers who have begun adopting this technology have learned as they work through the applications of Gen AI. First of all, how many of you are using Gen AI today? So some, not everybody, but some. How many of you think you'll be using Gen AI a year from now or 2 years from now? Well, a lot more hands. It's a little dark. I can't see you so well. So I think one of the first challenges everyone confronts is where to begin. And I think it's really difficult. My job says I'm in charge of strategy and planning for InterSystems. And I wish I could tell you that the picture for the future was so clear we knew exactly what we need to do. But that's not the case. So the first bit of advice that we give everyone is experiment. And I'll give you an example of one of the things we're doing. We've adopted one of our innovation strategies inside the company that is focused on the idea of bringing from within the organization ideas about what we might do. And we identify an area like Gen AI, and we ask InterSystems employees from all over the company to propose ideas for what InterSystems should do. The last time we did this, we got 194 ideas. Then we vote on those. We allow people to say which ones they think are the most promising. And for the 10 most promising, except in this case we had 11, we couldn't decide on 10. For the 11 most promising, we assign a small team to work on this. And people volunteer for these teams. They're typically 5 or 6 people. They come from all different parts of the organization, often different countries, different time zones. and they work on proposing a path forward for each of these. Then the 11 teams present their path forward, and from them, again, through a kind of voting process, the 3 most promising are identified. Those 3 then present to the InterSystems executive team, and from that, we have the difficult decision to pick one and to fund that one as going forward. And I can tell you it was hard to select from a bunch of these proposals. We've now done this 4 times, I think, so we've identified a number of promising things that we are carrying forward. But I think it's really important to think broadly about the possible uses of Gen AI or any other kind of innovation, and try and adopt a strategy of moving forward. Okay? The second piece of advice is that, in my opinion, the most successful uses of Gen AI will be uses that benefit the organization and the individual user. And this is a kind of different way of thinking about things. Most of the time when we think about our products, we think about how it benefits the whole organization, and a little bit less about how it benefits the individual users. But I think Gen AI is all about really changing the style of how we interact. So you're going to see some great examples in the session that come after me. But one of the ideas that came out of our talking to customers, our thinking about what we could do with technology, was the idea that when a doctor and patient meet, they speak, we capture the voice, and then we can do things with this captured information, this captured text that's spoken, such as generate a summary of the visit automatically. And as you'll see, we can take it a lot farther than just generating a summary. But I think this is a really good example because it enables the doctor to focus on the patient, not focus on the computer, enables the doctor to deliver more effective and more efficient care, and it also benefits the organization through that more effective and efficient care. And I think really the hardest thing to do is to find opportunities, find solutions that benefit both the organization and the data. The third piece of advice, and it really builds on what Kathleen was just talking about, is we need to focus on data quality, but we need also to focus on the model quality, the quality of these large language models, and we need to do it not just in English, but in all the languages in which this is occurring. So that's probably not a surprise to you, but it's a real challenge. If we begin with poor quality data and we don't have good ways of creating quality data from it, we can't possibly get good results. If we use that poor quality data to train our models, the models will not be very good. So one of the reasons I'm very optimistic about our opportunities in healthcare using our technology and Gen AI is it's been very important for us from the beginning to produce high-quality, usable data that can be used to drive these models, drive these Gen AI systems, but also can take advantage of the high-quality data that exists at each of our customer sites. I think that's really key. Number four, I think, is for me the most challenging area. We're a technology company. You can probably imagine as our engineers begin to use these large language models, they get really excited. They can create very powerful software very quickly. Very powerful software is important, but it doesn't ensure success in your organizations. You need to be able to adopt this software. You need to be able to deploy and manage it effectively. And I think Gen AI is going to profoundly change how we think about solutions and how we bring them to our customers, how customers adopt them. So traditionally, we're accustomed to thinking about solutions that encourage consistent behavior. They lead the user through some kind of process or workflow. We train the users to understand how to fill in data on the screen. We can measure their proficiency at using the system. We can validate the data they put in kind of a sequential fashion. We release this software in a very controlled and organized way. We know how the software is going to behave at the customer site. We can think about how we monitor the system to understand its reliability and performance. Gen AI-based systems are very different. They're less about forcing each user to do the same thing over and over again, and they're more about enabling a more conversational approach to using the system, a less structured approach to using the system. Eventually, we need to put in the lab order or the medication order in a structured way. We'll see maybe how that may occur as we see the demos this afternoon. But these Gen AI systems are not like our traditional enterprise applications. They're not the sort of rigid, step-by-step, pre-programmed workflows that we've seen before. They are much more about kind of continuous experimentation, continuous improvement, adaptation to the way individual users, individual physicians want to make use of the system. So I think these new systems are really going to change how we think about bringing applications to their users, to the customer base. They're going to change how we think about change management. They are really going to force us to reconsider lots of the things that we've thought about before in how we do things. And I am very confident that the technology will work effectively. But technology is a lot easier to change than people. And I think that the job for all of us is to figure out how to make this technology effective in different organizations in a way that benefits the organizations, that the users can embrace, and that allows the Gen AI technology to really deliver practical benefits. Next topic I'd like to talk about is one that's getting a lot of discussion in the U.S. I don't know how much here, but if it's not being talked about a lot here, I'm confident it will be. And that's about practical, effective, but also ethical use of AI. And this is a set of ethics principles InterSystems has adopted, and I think these are the right ones for us. Your organization may be different. These are on our website. If you don't get a good chance to take a picture of them today. But I think there are really four important things. One, and you've heard it mentioned a few times already, I think Luciano mentioned it early this morning, is we focus on the use of AI and Gen AI in particular on making people more effective in doing their jobs. Not replacing people with a computer system, but making the people more effective, augmenting their capabilities. It's really important to us. It's important for the kinds of healthcare systems we deliver. Second is that we really believe that to earn the trust of users, to earn the trust of all the people who are impacted by the system, they need a high level of transparency. The more the system is a closed black box, information coming in one end, mysteriously coming out the other, the more difficult it will be to achieve transparency. And we've already begun to experiment with how we can help, in track care, for instance, make the sort of reasoning of the system apparent to the user. How did it come to the conclusion that this was the case? Third area that's very important to us, particularly as a company that focuses a lot on data, is ensuring the responsible use of data, that patient privacy is protected, as we always must, that data are not misused, that we want to have well-trained models, but we don't want to do it by taking customer data and misusing it. So it's very important to us that the use of data is responsibly managed. And finally, it's important, if you're going to have some ethical principles, that you build processes and systems within the organization so that the organization actually lives up to these. So we've put some processes in place in InterSystems to ensure that as we bring AI capabilities to the market in our products, as we conduct projects with our customers, such as some audience members here, that we're doing it in accordance with those principles. And I have just one more area of advice, which is always to pick your partners wisely. I can tell you right now that there will be problems as you adopt Gen AI. It is not easy. It is changing rapidly. It will not be perfect the first time you do it, or the second, or the third. And what you discover when you work with technology is that you really learn a lot about your partners when things go wrong. And I hope you don't learn too much about us because there are so many problems. But it's important to recognize that who you work with, is probably more important than the details of the technology that exist at any point in time. And so we've tried to prepare ourselves to be a good partner. And I should tell you that really there are several parts to our AI strategy. One is to bring AI capabilities into our InterSystems Iris products. And those are really of benefit to developers. And we learn a lot about the needs of developers and solutions through the work we do in InterSystems Iris. Then we take those capabilities and we make them available to the developers of our HealthShare product and our TrackCare product. So they really become customers, even though they're inside InterSystems, they become customers for everything we do in InterSystems Iris. And as you can imagine, they say, well, nice try, Iris developers. You did a pretty good job, but as solution developers, there's other things we would like to have, or maybe if it worked this way, that would work a little better. So we become, if you like, within InterSystems, a kind of self-contained system with feedback so that we can keep driving the technology to benefit those who build solutions using the technology, our own solutions, but also solutions developed by others. So we're also aggressively adopting Gen AI within our own operations inside InterSystems. So again, we gain some in-house experience at how do we best develop these? How do we deploy them internally? How do we support the users? How do we understand if things are continuing to work well? Is the model getting better? Are we drifting in a bad direction? So we are working hard to ensure that we can be a good partner for all of you as you embrace Gen AI. I think it's the most important thing we all need to do over the next 5 years. I was reminded as I was sitting here of a quote from Bill Gates that I've always really liked. And I'm not sure he was talking about any technology in particular, but what he said is we always overestimate how much change will occur in the next 2 years. We look at Gen AI and say the world's going to change in 2 years. Well, probably not. But he said we always underestimate how much change will occur in the next 10 years. And I think he's right about that as well. So I think we can imagine lots of change from Gen AI. It's not going to happen tomorrow, not all going to happen next year or the year after. But I am confident that if I'm back here 10 years from now, that the change that will have occurred will be perhaps even more than we could have imagined in 2024. So I thank you for your attention, and I hope you get very excited about Gen AI and the possibilities in our products. And I want to assure you that whatever the difficult steps are coming up with Gen AI, we are fully committed to working with you. And I think I was asked a question by the media early. I think one of the advantages you have in Indonesia right now is both Microsoft and Google are investing in this market. And, you know, we will not be the creators of this large language model technology. We will use the best that's out there. And I think the fact that you have these big organizations investing in Indonesia will help this technology advance very quickly right here. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference. And if you have a chance while we're during a break, I'd be happy to chat with any of you.